Hello, namaste all. Welcome to our 71st session of GURUBODHA series. This is brought to you by easyayurveda.com. In this session, we are joined with Dr. Mahesh T.S., CEO of a pharmaceutical company manufacturing hemp-based products, cannabis-based products. And I dedicate this and all of my works at the holy feet of Dr. A. Chandrasekhar Udupa. And this class is live, also made available for Easy Ayurveda weekly class subscribers.
Introduction to medical cannabis. So I'll be directly going into the topic. Most of them might be, especially those who are in US and Europe, you have come across this particular word as medical marijuana or medical cannabis. It is nothing new with respect to Ayurvedic stuff, but still, when it came to this whole reorganized and approach, so there is a slight changes that has occurred. So hence, instead of cannabis, they added as medical cannabis. So in this presentation, I will give you introduction of this concept, then species, then use and benefits of cannabis in Ayurveda, the concept of medical cannabis as it is, concept of ECS, that is endocannabinoid system, cannabinoids, and uses and benefits of this medical cannabis. We end up with that. So to introduce this particular origin of this plant. So basically, medical cannabis refers to the phytocannabinoids which are obtained from a particular species of plants or particular genus, that is cannabis. So where this particular plant is said to be originated in Eurasia and Africa. But today you can see in many parts of the world, including US, where because of its ability to adjust itself to the environment wherever it is kept in. So that is the beauty of this particular plant, and that is the reason it has many names, and one important name is weed, this particular plant that has been called over the years. So its first mention was in Ayurveda, the fourth Vedic literature in the past, and it was considered, some consider it to be as a constituent of soma, and some consider it to be soma itself. So there is a bit of controversy on that. In medicinal use, when we see, because soma or soma rasa was more of a relaxing drink, and rather it was energy drink, we can say, a present scenario, but it was not as concentrated or as considered as a medicinal use. So the earliest medicinal use is in Chinese literature, Pen Sao Xing, which is 4000 BC old, and in first text of Ayurveda, that is Charaka Chikitsa Sthana 14th chapter, 169 quotation, you have the word as Vijaya. Now this particular word is on and often referred in many of the Ayurvedic texts. In fact, there is one more name, that is Bhang, which is also being used. There are synonymous words. But when we go in depth with detail into medical cannabis, we come to understanding that there are some differences that has to be taken care of. So this particular plant, cannabis, was considered as in the name of Bhang or Vijaya, and is classified as Upavisha first by Sushruta itself. So where the consideration of its narcotic act or narcotic effect was taken, and as a result it was not considered as Visha, but it was considered as an Upavisha, a subtoxic substance. And as a ritual side, or a cultural thing, it is very rampantly used even till date in Holi, which we have just crossed around the weeks back, where this particular leaf is being ground and mixed with different drinks, and it is given to drink during the Holi, and the people as a cultural. Now coming to cannabis, as I told, it belongs to the genus cannabis, the plant, from where the certain important alkaloids or important constituents are taken out, and accordingly they have been used as phytocannabinoids. All these constituents which are taken from cannabis, there are different varieties, they are known as cannabinoids, and the different parts of the plant is having different concentrations. So where we can see in the table, hemp is another variety of cannabis, known as cannabis sativa, which is actually sativa refers to cultivation. So any cannabis that is cultivated, right? So while we cultivate, we have certain controls over the constituents also and strains, etc. So hemp was a plant that was cultivated, which is slightly different from marijuana, which is known as medical cannabis actually. But today, because of regulations and policies, we use hemp itself as medical cannabis. So the difference between hemp and marijuana is the THC percent. In marijuana, it can go up till 25% THC, but in hemp, it is usually less than 0.3%. Then coming to the different aspects of these two varieties, which we can see, that is bhang leaf, ganja flower, and extract is known as hashish. When the leaf is used and when it is used for different purposes, that particular thing is known as bhang. Usually, most of the Ayurvedic preparations, we are using leaf, not other parts. When other parts, especially the female flower is added, then it contains THC, which is the highest source of THC in the plant, and that gives the psychoactive nature to the drug. Hashish is an extract from the, especially the buds, where they are used, and charas is another thing where the wax is stained from the, again, that is from the female flower. Now, basically, cannabis was used as a in a spiritual way to give a high, which is a hallucination effect that we call, where the person will have a short-term amnesia when it is high, and gives a very relaxation after the amnesia. But that is considered, or that is the reason why THC is being demonized today in the present scenario. Then you have again the recreational effect. Now, in a spiritual way, I have the same hallucination effect. We have two different aspects. So you have seen some Naga sadhus taking smoking marijuana. So it helps in what we call a stone effect. When it is taken, the person's total psychological aspect is lost, or in other words, he reaches high, where he is completely stoned. He becomes immobile, or he restricts himself to the last act what he is doing, and that will be total amnesia. Hallucination is slightly lesser effect that creates a recreational, a different, it creates a world of different nature. So both these effects is mainly caused because of the high level of THC. Then you have the medicinal effect, which is a non-hallucination effect of the plant. So usually it is the cannabidiol or CBD that is being having this particular effect, or considered to be having the particular effect. Along that, THC is also having a very good medicinal effect, and in fact, when given together, CBD also has a antagonistic effect on THC. We'll come to that as we go along. Now, this hallucination effect, as I told, is caused by a content known as THC, tetrahydroxycannabinoid, whereas the medicinal effect, what I have told is cannabis-based derivatives, which are cannabidiol. Actually, CBD, I have used it here, but the original abbreviation for what CBD stands for is cannabidiol. Then you have cannabinol, that is the N, CBG, so different components are there. All these have a very multifaceted medicinal effect, and today it has become a very famous component for different conditions, like especially in the pain management scenario. Now, as I told, this was a plant that was known from 4,000 and 6,000 years earlier, but due to different policies, and the first policy was enacted by US in the year 1964, where they blocked the use of marijuana for, actually it was blocked for recreational purposes, but it was told as the total banning of marijuana was done. And they went on, actually even later on, the WHO in 1975, they also proclaimed the ban, they upheld this ban, and they also created it. And lastly, it came to India in the year 1985. This was brought under the newly enacted act known as NDPS Act. But other than that, this particular Drug and Cosmetic Act of India schedules this particular plant under Schedule E1, where it is considered as considered as a prescription based drug which can be used for medicinal purpose. Ironically, even the NDPS Act of 1985 will exempt the use or will allow the use of this particular plant in medicinal purpose. Not only this, even Ayurveda also is used under or allowed to be used under medicinal purpose. So even though we have 6,000 years of history for this plant, it was during the 1950s where they wanted to make this plant a demonic. So because of which there were hundreds of researchers that was being funded, and ultimately they found, instead of saying that it is a very harmful drug, they found it to be a very beneficial drug. And the person who initially propagated that particular thing, the most beneficial drug is medical cannabis, that is Raphael Mechoulam, and just 3 days back he died at the age of 92. This NDPS Act, which was based on the perception that this causes high, and as a result the people may have psychological disturbance where the person may commit unwanted activities. So because of that it was brought, and where again it was restricting only recreational use of the plant and not the medicinal use. As I told you, I have already mentioned 2 species here, but actually we have 3 main varieties or 3 main species under the medical, under the cannabis. The first one which I have not mentioned, that is Cannabis ruderalis, the last slide which I have not mentioned, which is usually seen in the Siberian area and other areas and joining areas. And this is a very short plant compared to Cannabis sativa and Cannabis indica. But the specialty of the plant is it contains negligible amount of THC, and it is a very good for medical cannabis. This is the how it looks leaf of this plant. Then you have the most commonly cultivated variety, that is Cannabis sativa. This is what we consider as industrial hemp, because for one main reason is the hemp fibers which is used in textile industry is obtained from this one. The fibers are much thicker than the compared to the other 2 varieties where it can be used. It is there are different varieties of hemp today, fibers in the sense of cloth in the textile industry, and it is available in the market. And moreover, this has less than 0.3% or very low percentage of THC compared to indica, but higher than ruderalis. So this is how sativa leaf looks. So you have many leaflets compared to that of ruderalis. Now, the most powerful one is Cannabis indica. Actually, this is Cannabis indica. You can see the differences in the leaf in case of ruderalis, in case of sativa and indica. And even the indica has more of THC and bit fleshy in nature, so that slightly blue, and where the juices come out, when we press it up. But for actually the medicinal use, indica is supposed to be the good one. But again, that will be restricting. I mean, that will be depending on what type of benefit you want to get. For example, if you are trying for a psychoactive activity, then indica will be much more preferred, because it is having high amount of THC, which is a psychoactive. Whereas sativa has low THC but has high amount of CBD. Now, CBD is very much important to have a beneficial effect on like pain management, especially soft tissue pain management and cancer pain management. So all this where sativa is very useful in terms of reduction of pain. But other than this, you have all these varieties are good in appetizer effect. It's a very good appetizer. It is a very good for GI tract and many other things which will be going on. Now, other than this, you have hybrid varieties. Different hybrid varieties have been developed, especially in Europe and US. So where they are being cultivated and being used for different medicinal purpose. Now, as I told, there is no THC in Cannabis ruderalis, low in case of sativa, and high THC in case of indica. So where do we find these THC and CBD content? As I told in the earlier slide, we have female flowers, not all flowers. Female flowers, you have a tuft of flowers coming in, and so very thick inflorescence. So where there are glands known as trichomes, and these glands secrete very gummy-like structure. Now, this gummy-like structure, some will be wax-like structure. It is wax-like item, and that is used as charas. If you can scrape that out, they do that. And if you use the whole leaf, I mean whole flower, female flower, it is having that high THC. Whereas when you come into leaves, you have high CBD content. There is THC, but the THC is quite low, maybe around 0.3 to 1%, depending on the species that you have taken. And seeds actually doesn't have any CBD nor THC. It is a high omega-3 fatty acid content and all amino acids, very high protein content. Also, it's a very good superfood that is even accepted even by the government today, where it is available freely under the FSSAI. Then coming to the concept as per Ayurveda. So there are three, in fact, names is commonly used for bhang or cannabis. That is Vijaya, Jaya and Bhang. Vijaya, Jaya refers to the CBD aspect of or CBD benefits that is obtained from CBD. Bhang is a variety where it will be more emphasizing on the psychoactive, that is THC part. So according to the use or a benefit that is we require, this variety has to be considered and it has to be used, and accordingly the names have been. But commonly it is the leaves that is being used and not the flowers. So coming to the medicinal activity, as I told, activity on body like pain, GI tract inflammation or diarrhea, even the neurological pain, where Jaya is or Vijaya is much more useful. Whereas in case of mind, Bhang is a most the variety that is to be considered. So its detailed description can be seen in the text Ananda Kanda. Along with its properties, we have it is Rasa Tikta, Laghu Tikshna Guna, Virya is Ushna, and Vipaka Katu, and especially it is Pitta Vardhaka, Vata Kapahara. So that is why when you take, especially when you take the extract, if anyone has taken, there is a sudden surge of appetite. The person feels hungry within 40 or 45 minutes. Along with that, it's a very good digestive, and because of which it has been used in many GI tract cases. In fact, when we speak of the different formulations in Ayurveda, around 100 plus formulations, 120 around. So most of them are being used for the GI tract diseases. So as I have told, there are 119 formulations in 358 references in Ayurvedic texts. And its action and indications, as I've told, is Deepana, Pachana, Ruchya, Madakari, Grahi, Medhya, Rasayana. And out of 119 formulations, 30 formulations are more concentrated for the problems of GI tract. So as I've told, as it is mentioned in Sushruta, it is an Upavisha, so subtoxic in nature, mainly because of its psychoactive effect. That is by THC, and so any Visha or Upavisha, as the rule goes, it has to undergo a process of purification or Shodhana. So in the same manner, even this is being subjected to Shodhana. So basically, one type of Shodhana is wash it, the whole whatever part is washed in water and can be used. And another type or another method of Shodhana that is mentioned in Anandakanda is wash, dried and fried with ghee. So again, based on our experiences also, all this, there is change in not only in the possible chemical qualities, but also in the physical nature of the leaves that is being used. I am repeatedly telling that we are, or in the sense Ayurveda, mostly or in many of the cases, propagates the use of leaves in its formulation. Then we have Svedana in milk, then washed, dried, and again fried in ghee. This is another method of purification. There is one more purification method known as where it is done Svedana with babula, that is acacia plant, coming under the acacia genus. So that is being dried and again fried in ghee. And another method, which is again, this is an Anubhuta method by some when I happened to meet some people. So they gave me that there is another method of Shodhana. It is not mentioned in any of the texts, and that is wash it with water, then wash it with milk, and wash it with coconut water, tender coconut water. So these are different methods of Shodhana, purification. Why this purification is done? Usually when this purification is done, its unwanted effect is lost or it is decreased, in fact. So possibly because of its psychoactive nature, it was considered as a subtoxic substance, where these Shodhana procedures remove this toxic, what we consider subtoxic, and basically it is the only content that is THC that causes it. So coming under the concept of medical cannabis, which is again created after being banned. Earlier there was no concept of medical cannabis before 1960. It was used under different circumstances by all people. But when the banning of that was done for recreational purposes and it was allowed for medicinal, then slowly it came into being. But initially the research and development of medical cannabis was towards to demonize this particular plant. I'll come to that why, that will be a bit later. But usually it was on that pretext that this has a very harmful effect on the body. But ultimately it ended up that it has the least harmful effect in any of the particular substances that is considered as addictive and dependent, which causes dependence. So cannabis, based on that, there was two bifurcations of use. One is recreational and the other one is medicinal. Whereas again, this medicinal depends on how we consume it. What is the method? So the mode of consumption was analyzed, and you might have seen the most common one is smoking. The most common one use of this cannabis is through smoking, and there is a reason for that, because cannabis is very much quickly absorbed by smoke compared to any other route of administration. Then you have the vaporizer. Again, even that is another method where, because both the smoke and vaporizer, the absorption levels are high and quick, and the effect is also quicker. Then you have tinctures, which is developed, and you have extracts and everything, which is used for oral consumptions. Then you have teas, where the leaves and other things are taken, and you have edibles like what we have, legumes or jellies and things like that. So when it comes to medicinal, you have two different effects. One is the physical and psychological effect. So as we need, physical is because of the use of CBD, cannabidiol, and the mental is because of tetrahydrocannabinol, or it's known as THC. Now this medical cannabis came into existence when they came to know that there is a system within the body which regulates all other systems of the body. It is like the master control of the whole system of the body. It was of late known after around 2013, and that gave to the understanding that this is a very important system. And in fact, the phytoconstituents of cannabis were fitting into this system very effectively and freely, and that is the reason it was known as endocannabinoid system. So in way back in 1960s, when the Israeli scientist Mr. Michel Cheslam, he got into the understanding that this is a very master system, and he went into this research in detail, and they found out that there are certain receptors within the body known as cannabis-based or cannabinoid receptor, and known as CBR1, CBR2, and that was first found out in the year 1988. So he was the one who went deeply into that to understand. Now these are, as you see, there's a picture here, receptors what you have in the, and these receptors like CB1 and CB2, they are in every cell of the body, every neuron synaptic junction of the body, and wherein that is how they control all the systems. So coming to a brief of endocannabinoid system, it consists of three parts. One is endocannabinoid, the second is cannabinoid enzyme, and third is the cannabinoid receptors. So endocannabinoids are those cannabinoids which are prepared by the body within the body. So actually we don't need phytocannabinoids. We ourselves synthesize this cannabinoid and use it, and even completely destroy it by the help of these enzymes. So why it is used? So basically, how this cannabinoid system works is, when an individual undergoes a certain amount of stress or whatever, so there will be triggering of a process that is known as cannabinoid synthesis, and this synthesis gives rise to two endocannabinoids, that is anandamide, or is known as AEA, and second one is 2AG, 2-ethylglycerols. Both these cannabinoids are lipid-based cannabinoids or fat acid-based cannabinoids. The enzymes that they take part in this one are these two enzymes, 2-aretinoidal and N-aretinoidal phosphate ethanol, or NAP. So they are the ones who help in the synthesis of these two aspects. Then you have the receptors known as G protein receptors, so GPCR, and which are of two varieties, that is CB1, most concentrated on brain, and the other one is CB2, which is most concentrated in almost every cell to immune tissues. Now, when in the endocannabinoid system, you have two phases. One is the synthesis of cannabinoid. So, as I told, anandamide, then you have 2-AG. So, the second step is the cannabinoid degradation. So, when there is some amount of stress, the anandamide is generated or synthesized. They plug, it's like G protein is a where you have the plug and key and lock and key process. So the anandamide goes into CB1 and it triggers the process of getting high, where the neurons, because these are present, CB1 is present in the brain tissue, especially in the synaptic junctions. So where the CB1, when it gets triggered, there is release of neurotransmitters, and when it is release of neurotransmitters is seen to a certain extent, actually it is the CBD controls the effect of THC in this, or 2-AG in other words, which is an endocannabinoid, controls this CB1 effect of anandamide and controls it to the extent that there is a retrograde process which happens, and as a result the control of elation is lost, but this gives a feeling of wellness, a feeling of hope actually is given by this AEA or anandamide. That is the reason it got the name anandamide, because of the effect that it produces. Now this anandamide, after its work is over, it gets degradation, and that is FAAH, fatty acid amino hydrolase, which completely degrades this particular anandamide into ethanolamide, and this, or it also it is degraded by oxidation by using COX-2 enzyme, that is cyclooxygenase 2 into prostamides. Now, by the help of NAA, that is N-acetyl ethanolamine hydrolyzing acid, it also completely degrades the anandamide into non-metabolites, and it is, again, this goes in a cyclic manner. So that is how it happens. But in case of 2-AG, after its use, COX-2 enzymes, they help, and it gives out a wild degradation into PGE2G, where this particular thing will result in that is a prostaglandin, so where it helps in pain relieving effect. Now, MGL and the enzyme, that is monoacyl glycerol lipase, will result in hydrolysis of this particular thing, 2-AG, and its substrates are being seen. So coming to the cannabinoids, you have three varieties today. They are phytocannabinoids, endocannabinoids, and synthetic cannabinoids. Endocannabinoids, as we have already discussed in the last slide, that is 2-AG and anandamide, you have still more. And phytocannabinoids, you have 400 cannabinoids that is being isolated from cannabis, but among them, the most prominent one are THC and CBD. You have CBN, you have CBG, in different stages of plant. If the plant is very small or very young age, then we have more of CBG, which is another type of cannabinoid. And as the plant grows bigger, or as the time passes, it converts itself into CBD and THC, and their effects are also differing. Endocannabinoids, you have anandamide and 2-AG, as we have already. Then dronabinol, nabilon, and nabiximol are synthetic cannabinoids, but compared to the phytocannabinoids, these three have a very high psychoactive effect, and in fact they are a bit harmful to the body, unlike the phytocannabinoids. So the phytocannabinoid or synthetic cannabinoids can be used in oral and inhalation. These are the main two modes of use that this cannabinoids are done. So once it is taken orally or inhalation, whatever we do, the effect will be depending on which mode you have to. So in case of oral, it is directly, it enters into the liver, where the liver is main organ that metabolizes cannabinoids. Whereas in case of inhalation, it directly enters into the blood. That is why you have the quicker effect of cannabinoids being seen while inhalation, like smoking or vapors, etc. In case of liver, oral, after metabolism, it enters into the bloodstream, and from there, the action maybe CB1 or CB2, and depending on that, you have the effect also. CB1 mainly seen in the brain cells, so that is why you have the psychoactive effect where it acts on the GABA inhibitors, and the same THC, what we were speaking or what was being demonized, can be useful in a neuropathic pain where by the inhibition of GABA. When it is CB2, now it can be, this CB1 and CB2 is seen in other parts of the body also, where CB1 is slightly less, but CB2 is very rampant in peripheral parts. But brain, it is CB1 that is predominantly present, and CB2 is a little bit less. So what happens with CB2 is it affects the immune system and regulates them, which is main cause for neutrophil and macrophage migrations to the particular affected part, and then it also results in reduction of inflammation by the process of prostaglandin, etc. It also inhibits the cytokine storms. Again, PGE2 is regulated and it reduces pain or inflammation. So this way, in case of how better we can use, so will be the effect. So when we take it as a smoke or a vapor, it comes around 3 to 5 hours. Very quickly it gets the effect. Whereas in case of, the effect starts by around half to 45 minutes and it stays for 3 to 5 hours. Whereas in case of an oral consumption, the effect starts a bit lately, especially around 6 or rather 4 hours later, and stays to around 8 to 20 hours. So when you consume, when anyone consumes raw cannabinoid extract, and if at all that stoning occurs, need not worry that only it stays for 8 to 20 or 24 hours. And after that, he will be as normal as anyone else. And this is not a non-toxic drug with respect to life-threatening aspect. It doesn't affect any of the body organs. It gets metabolized in liver complete. That is the only place where you have certain effect that can be seen, or else it is totally safe. It is having an ED, LD50 study, which is around 3000 mg, and there is no death in that one under acute toxicity study. So use of medical cannabis is basically anti-inflammatory, what we have usually seen. Then it is an excellent drug for neuropathic pains, especially when it is more where morphine itself is being indicated. Such pains, this acts as a very good anti-inflammatory drug, and is also better action is seen when it is a raw extract. That is where you have THC, a small amount of THC in the extract, where this particular THC helps enhances the action of neuropathic pain. Anxiety disorders where THC is more, like you have 1:1 concentration of CBD THC extracts, so that can also be taken, and you can also be used more concentrated THC in anxiety disorders. Treatment of GI disorders, again raw extract has been more helpful. And by the way, even when you have CBD along with THC, CBD has an agonistic effect against the THC action. Neurological disease, especially neurological pain, and even atypical Parkinsonism, our medications like Madanakameshwari, Chaturjata, they have proved, we have seen its effect to be more arresting the prognosis of arresting the development of Parkinsonism in atypical sites. And one of the important use is sexual wellness, impotence, erectile dysfunction, then enhancement of libido, oligospermia. All this can be seen as one of the important effects of medical cannabis. Another important aspect is cancer. There are around 200 to 300 papers which I have come across for the management of medical cannabis. Has very good effect on pain management. Along with that, it is a very good appetizer. That is why it is useful in GI tract. So when we give this medicine in cancer patients, so this is useful not only in control of pain, but also in the control of cancer growth to a certain extent. Studies have also given the aspect as it causes apoptosis of cancer cells. So wherein it can lead to the cure of cancer disease in certain cases. It is estimated around 30 to 40% result of cure can be seen with cannabis. So actually, I have been associated with one company known Pharmaceuticals, where I'm an advisor to them, and they have these range of products: Madana Kameshwari, Sleep Sutra, Pain Sutra, raw extract of CBD, which is as it is extract of CBD, and they are proposing with 4:1 and other full spectrum CBD, where THC is not there, but you have all varieties of CBD like CBN, CBG, etc. being present in that, and certain formulations for that. And moreover, we are going to with the aspect of creating awareness and regarding medical cannabis, because the endocannabinoid system is a principal system in the body which controls almost every system. It is controlling the synaptic aspect of the neurons. It controls the and these two are primary in many of the activities. Moreover, it is also found that CB1 receptors and CB2 receptors are seen in mitochondria of the cell, so which is considered as the power of the cell. And these are controlling the mechanism of cell also. Forget about even the neurons. It is controlling the aspect of cell, because of which we thought that we want to introduce this certificate is another way, but knowledge of this medical cannabis to those who want to learn it. So with that, we are introducing this course in a short time, where we'll be considering 15 different topics. So this is covering almost every aspect of medicine and other care, like palliative care and even curative aspects. So these 15 different aspects, they are as listed above. Introduction to medical cannabis, as we have the same thing which we'll be doing it, and the rest of them, it comes like details of endocannabinoid system, cannabinoids, etc.
Thank you, sir.
Especially this cannabis or medical cannabis is, even though explained in Ayurveda very long back, it was not in the use. But since the last few years, suddenly there is a rise in understanding and acceptance of this particular herb. Even though it has a different geographical conditions, it has a variations, and it has been identified as 3 different categories and species. But in India, usually we get the cannabis sativa, indica to some extent, and rhubarb very rarely somewhere in the Uttarakhand and all those areas. But generally, if you observe our mythological things also, Lord Shiva used to consume this. So it is not only, as Dr. Mahesh has explained, it is controlling the entire system or various systems of the body. Definitely it has some role. That is the reason Lord Shiva used to consume, because he is one of the important for Srishti and Laya and everything, for that maintenance purpose, so many things of the world, as we go in the mythological things. Secondly, from point of Ayurveda, this drug has a wonderful areas to be used, particularly in the pain management area, and as well as in the GI system, where particularly this ulcerative colitis or IBS or irritable bowel syndrome or even ulcerative colitis, these conditions very effectively drug can be used. Similarly, it is also used in the sexual component, where there is erectile dysfunction. These areas are there. That's why if you observe the classical preparations and references, we find a lot of things containing some activities on Shukra and Shonita, like Madana Kameshwari Rasa, and so many other things have been explained containing cannabis in that. And otherwise, typically this medical cannabis is used as per Ayurveda in the pain management. Definitely we have got different type of Vijayavati, Trilokya Vijayavati, and such things are there. Of course, it is also has some beneficial effect on stress, as well as definitely on the blood pressure and related activities. And moreover, where we are finding very difficult in practice is that the terminal stages of cancer pain management. If that area, if it becomes a very good one, then definitely it is going to help a lot. And if the many companies come out with certain type of tablets and capsules or layers or drops or something like that, then definitely it will be a very helping thing to the practicing Ayurvedic physicians, because pain management is the one thing which many a times we find it difficulty with the regularly available drugs for acute conditions. We may not find it a quite good type of combinations or yogas available for us at our disposal. So in that scenario, if we get a typical type of thing with, of course, affordability is also there, then definitely it is going to help us in a very big way. So these are the areas where we have seen which can be exploited, and that's what, because of its Vyavari and Vikasi Guna, when that is taking as a leading role, then it may be in the level of anxiety, stress and pain and all those things. And when it's a more combination towards the inclination towards the CBD or the Stambhaka effect, then we have got a very good activity could be seen in case of sexual as well as GI tract disorders. So depending upon the content and of course from where it has been used, and definitely these drugs are of a very helpful condition. Maybe it's even bong leaf or bong seeds. Of course, bong seeds may be containing a very, very low quantity of things, may be very good, useful for the immune system to boost it up. Maybe that comes to a role, very important role in the management of cancers, where it can have a beneficial effect on immunity of a person which is being hit by the cancer. So definitely these are the very wonderful vistas and domains where we can in future anticipate a very good combinations. And of course, many research is also being conducted all over the globe. So definitely more and more states in the US is also accepting it. And probably you can even find someday some change in the rules and regulations in India to accept it to a certain level or some give relaxation so that the things can be used in a better manner.
Dr. Swagata has written in Ayurveda text, shul or pain is not extensively described, and mostly it is indicated in, cannabis is indicated in aphrodisiac and IBS Grahini, as per extensive review of 58 classical texts of Ayurveda in the PhD work.
Yeah, sir. Sir is rightly said that it has been mentioned as aphrodisiac and mostly for the IBS condition. But now if we look into the latest research, it's mostly projected for pain management, and that is the extract-based medicine, or that mostly the medicines are synthetic medicine or THC, some proportion of THC or CBD or only THC kind of. So from Ayurveda perspective, I would like to say, like in Ayurveda, when I looked into the classical literature, mostly part use is leaf. And now in modern, like according to the recent development in cannabis, they are using even the extract form as well. So the impact of THC in the leaf, because leaf THC proportion in leaf is very minimal as compared to its resin form. So that need to take into consideration, because what I'm observing is now we are trying to correlate Ayurveda with the recent researches on cannabis. If I'm not wrong, in Ayurveda it is asked to be use drug as a whole, like as a whole leaf powder we have to use. And that is also after processing. That is the Shodhana methods. So after that, its pain management impact, how much it is effective in pain management as compared to the synthetic medicines or synthetic extract, that really a question. Even that is my question in front of experts.
And we have discussed in great detail regarding how the whole herb as such out of proper Shodhana and wholesome Ayurveda method is always better than using single extracts. Curcumin versus turmeric, glyceric acid versus licorice or yashtimadu keeps on coming up. So that is well established and point well taken, ma'am.
Cannabis should be taken under Vaidya's guidance, right? So, in the US, people take cannabis, and I'm wondering, since it's used for relaxation, does cannabis have long-term effect with prolonged usage? Like how cigarette has an effect on humans, causing lung cancer, all those. My question is, as a worried mother with, the children potentially wanting to take cannabis for relaxation, does that have any long-term effects on people?
Yeah, basically, the question is, first of all, medical cannabis in India especially is to be taken only with a prescription. You are not supposed to use any form of substance with ingredient as medical cannabis, as it is not freely available also. So now what most of the companies do is physician's prescription has to be either uploaded or sent through WhatsApp to the company, and they have to furnish their details like address, etc. Then only the order is honored. Otherwise, till the prescription has come, the company doesn't send the medication, and that is as mentioned in the prescription. Only the medication will be sent, and this is for one thing. Then coming to the other aspect, I think I can tell here is, as I've told in my presentation, you have three varieties. One is endocannabinoids, and which is seen within the body. Why we get disease is when these endocannabinoids synthesis comes down and the receptors die out, or in a sense they fade away. Then only there is a disease condition, because it controls the immune system, it controls the health system also. This is one aspect. Coming to the phytocannabinoids, they are having certain side effects. It's not that phytocannabinoids are free of side effects. They do have side effects like headache or giddiness. Then, as I told, stoning. And all this stoning, in the sense, a stone syndrome, what is there, where the individual, whenever he has high amount of marijuana, or else we consider getting high. So getting high in sense, the person will become like he will be totally inside that different illusionary world, and the person will have total temporary amnesia, I can tell. So for a particular time, that is 6 to 8 hours, or maybe a bit more, depending on the dose that is taken. So this is only side effect. And when does this happen is when THC is present, tetrahydrocannabinol. Otherwise, CBD as such has no known side effects at all. It is totally safe in that aspect. And the THC can cause if the particular individual is more recreational in approach, then there is chances of getting addiction, because the person is more attached to the high what the THC produces. Otherwise, see, what is basically what do you mean by addiction? Any subject, or in fact any object, can become an addiction, including food. So it's a feeling that an individual wants, and is only possible when we get it from the particular use of a drug or a substance or something. So that is what is addiction. So here THC gives that high or that hallucination effect, which may cause an addiction in due course, but otherwise CBD will never cause an addiction. There are certain synthetic cannabinoids in the market. It is not present in India, of course. So these synthetics, they are harmful. But phytocannabinoids, and whether it is CBD isolate or THC CBD combination or raw extracts, CBD full spectrum, whatever is the condition, they are not harmful to the body. But synthetic forms of THC, synthetic forms of CBD, they are found to be a bit harmful and very addictive also compared to phytocannabinoids. So other than that, I think as Dr. Swagata also mentioned, I just wanted to add up there that it is mainly indicated in GI disorders, Grahani or IBS, but more frequently in aphrodisiac effect, Vajikarana. So, but recreational is another aspect also which is seen today as one of the major effects that can be generated from this. Saying that synthetic form of any substance is always harmful, which we have seen from time immemorial. So, its natural form, there is always a difference between isolates like CBD alone or CBD with the THC, or completely raw extract, which is again completely extract of this leaf that we have or the plant that we have, so which can be used, and it is being used today by many of the people here.
This is the technique used by modern pharmaceutical companies and also herbal supplement manufacturers, that whenever there is a compound which is very useful, such as like turmeric or licorice, or even the same thing was done with turmeric is more useful when it is used with piperine. So curcumin with piperine is more easily absorbed. All those complex things come into existence. And the same thing we are seeing that with this cannabis also, with a lot of synthetic chemicals rushing into it, and it's different permutations and combinations. Somebody may go on to do their own research and come up with a paper that if it is used only in our particular way, that is more useful. So all these things are happening, and it is only going to go up as many countries and states start legalizing cannabis use especially for medicinal purposes. So do you think that there should be a top limit for THC percentage in any product? And if that is there, what is your top percentage that you would recommend? That beyond that, it should be illegal at all?
Actually, US government already has that in its policy. That is 0.3% is the limit that is kept by US government. But there are instances where 1% is also present in their thing. But as such, if you are taking a raw extract, then there will be this, there is no control over whatever that is material. And the most common material that we get here in India for manufacturing purposes is cannabis sativa, which has the lowest level of THC, maybe between 0.3 to 1%. But indica has the higher level, which is around 25%, and that may cost a bit high. But saying that, it cannot be demonized. In certain areas where psychological effects are very much necessary, or importantly because of a psychological effect, stress and strain, then these THC will give a better role. And when we combine, or when we take the raw extract as such, then it is also seen by research that CBD controls the levels of THC. Once it goes, it is just like a self-regulating mechanism that this endocannabinoid system works. So it's not that they are going to be totally in a different mood or in different hallucination conditions forever. So that cannot happen with a natural. But saying that, there are very much instances or references of having adverse effects with like headache, nausea, and giddiness, etc. Redness of eye is one of the things when you give high dose of cannabis. And synthetic cannabis, they are, as like any other synthetic drug, they have varied side effects of their own, unlike any phyto or naturally obtained. So that is always there. But saying that this naturally obtained, that is phyto constituents, phytocannabinoids, they don't have any of the known side effects till date. They have only a temporary condition which will be reducing all by itself. Or there are certain things like tender coconut water, even nimbu juice. All this will bring down its effect when it is taken. So phytocannabinoids can be easily brought down into normal. It's not demonized. It's not necessary to demonize it. And extracts, it was right from time immemorial. But I think you will be agreeing that most of the formulations what you have is either aqua alcohol extract or alcohol extract and lipid extract. It's all extracts only, actually. Even though we use it as a raw material by making kalka, etc., but most of them, what we have as a compound formulation, are extracted. Instead of doing that lengthy process, we make into a different process. Extracts can be used, but yes, isolates are different than this complete as such extracts, like what we have raw extracts.
My question is that if we go by the analysis of the Rasapanchaka, the vipaka of cannabis is Katu, and the virya is Ushna. So technically, as per my understanding in a layman term, is that the effect will be more in whenever there is any kapha or means congestion or avarana, it will do well. So it will have more lekhana and scavenging activity. So if the pain is happening, if the person is depressive or having mental issues due to Avarana of the Vata, or pain in the body due to Avarana, so it will work much better instead of only Vata related pain or Vata related issue. So please correct me on that. That is my understanding, and please correct me where I am making mistake. Thank you.
First of all, we need to understand that there is no hard and fast rule that only Vipaka will take a leading role in producing any effect of the drug. See, drug action can be brought about by its rasa, its guna, its virya, its vipaka. Altogether, it may be a prabhava. But there is a difference. There is an analysis and then guidelines given by that. Sometimes some will be ruling over the other. For example, in a drug, if kashaya rasa is pradhana in such a way that it can even win over or sideline the all other things, including vipaka, virya, and everything, and it may bring about its action. So it doesn't mean that if it is ushna and katu, that ushna and katu should only play the role. No, it is not like that. If even though ushna and katu is there, it is having a vyavahi guna and vikasi guna, then definitely that will take a leading role in certain things. And when we are using in particular combination in the form of some medication taken orally, and it will have a beneficial effect on the gut, and there usually that kashaya rasa is leading the role. So like that, a very clear understanding is there. So wherever there is influence or the dominancy of vyavahi and vikasi guna and such type of gunas are there, through which it is trying to bring about the chala guna, and it even removes the chalatva or even stabdata, thereby reduces the pain. So there is a pain mechanism or the pain management to have multiple pathways to come in the way and to deliver the relief. So it may not be the same thing that it is Katu and Ushna that only do the things. So it is not like that. If you point of Ayurveda, if you take it in that sense also, Katu and Ushna both are reducing Vata, because Ushna Guna can suppress even the Katrasa and bring about the Vata Hara action. So multiple complexity is there in this. It doesn't mean that it only because of a particular rasa this action will come. No, it is not like that. So we need to understand that each and every component of a drug are capable of producing the effects, and so for particular action and any one of the things, or all of them may contribute. That's why we call it Dvandvaja Karma, Sarvaja Karma, Ekaja Karma. Any one thing is involving and producing a karma, any two things are involved in producing a karma, or all of them are involving and producing a karma. So it depends on at a drug to drug, and it is not a uniform rules and regulation that it will happen every drug in this fashion only. No, there is no such rule.
Please give some details on preparations of cannabis commercially available in India. Are they only phytoextracts, or or they have been done under Shodhana first and then made via the rules of Vaisheshika Kalpana? You yourself are a manufacturer or involved in manufacturing and marketing of cannabis, and do you always do Shodhana first and do that? And can you please also talk about other cannabis products in available Indian market?
Yeah, actually, with regards to the products that are present in Indian market, is what we are producing. We have actually 4 products in market. That is, one is Madanakameshwari Rasayana. The second one is Sleep Sutra. Third one is Pain Sutra. Fourth one is Canopain. And these Madanakameshwari is a product which is a classical one, which is having the reference in Shastra Yogam. And this particular procedure we do in a completely a classical manner, where the Shodhana of the bhang, and not only bhang, and around 11 ingredients are there, which has to be undergoing Shodhana, and that has done. Totally, the Madanakameshwari has 64 ingredients, out of which 11 we do the Shodhana. Then we have what I've told is the Sleep Sutra, which is a external application oil. So where the oil is applied over the leg, below the knee also is recommended in the calf region. This induces sleep after application, say around with massage of 5 to 10 minutes. So it's one of the unique products that we have in the market, where external application is leading to sleep. Then we have Pain Sutra, which is again an external application oil, which will be useful to control soft tissue pain, where I should be accepting here in this scenario that soft tissue are being very much controlled. Pains are controlled by cannabis compared to a hard tissue, that is bony or joint pains. Then you have the canopane, which is the latest one that we have, which is a raw leaf extract. It's a direct raw leaf ethanol extract that we have. And this is, of course, the general cleaning, washing with water, everything has to be done because it has to pass through that. And we are using food grade ethanol to extract these things. And in the days to come, we have 4 more products. One for pain, internal medicine, pain management, cancer management, women wellness management, and anti-stress management. So these are the 4 in pipeline, which will be coming out with. So these are what we have. Others also, there are like Trilocavigivity is there in the market. Then you have different extracts of cannabis, like 4:1 cannabis extract, that is 4% of 4 parts of CBD, 1 part of THC in that. So different proportionate, as we told, broad spectrum CBD, where all varieties of CBD are there, like CBN, CBG, everything. That is also available in the market. So all these many products are there in Indian markets right now, but this can be only obtained through proper prescription. That is only hinge, and it needs that regulation because of its abuse, to prevent its abuse. This is one thing. If Dr. Hebar, if I can add to the earlier question regarding rasa and thing, it is true that it has Ushnavirya and Katuvipaka. It also has Tikta rasa, but still we can see that it is Pittavardhaka in nature. But doesn't mean that it is going to be harmful. The beauty of herbal based drugs are that they are very selective in their approach. According to the conditions, environment within the body, they have different modes of action. As Gururaja sir also just now told, it is very selective. So there is no hard and fast rule that this has to happen in this manner. And owing to the physiology of endocannabinoid system, it is still more very selective and very much on that pathway where the system selects what is to be done all by itself. It doesn't need any the external factors. This is one thing. The moment you take extracts or moment you take any of the cannabis-based products, you have increase of appetite, which is a clear indication it is a Pittavardhaka drug. It increases appetite, and the person starts craving for food if there is slightly increase in dose. And this helps in the benefits can be used in this manner according to the condition.
Have you ever exported your products outside India thus far, or just efforts on that regard is still going on?
I mean, there are plans that it has to be exported.
Are there any like government agencies or regulatory bodies within India and outside India which regulate these and many other like medically useful psychotropic natural drug? Are there any? Sir, please.
In India, there is that NDPS Act and Drug and Cosmetic Act that governs this particular thing. So, where we need to get a clearance from the Excise Department, and the licensing is given by the Ayush Department of the state. And presently only Madhya Pradesh is giving the licenses. I think even off late they have stopped because of excessive applications. And other than that, Uttarakhand is there, Orissa is there, Himachal is there, and the NDPS Act actually it allows the state to make its own policies. So here in India, the state is empowered with the aspect of making policy for those which come under the NDPS Act. But other than that, in Madhya Pradesh, you have a depot which is from where the government depot itself, where the procurement of raw drugs has to be done. So the condition what the licensing authorities give is the procurement has to be done from the legal constituted bodies, that is the depots. They're not supposed to take from outside. So and there we get a sativa. Even Uttarakhand, you have license to grows. Some states like Karnataka, Kerala and all, they are not having any policies, nor they are allowing the use of even cultivation of drugs. So, but once it is licensed under the Ayush department in Madhya Pradesh or any other state which is allowing, we can sell it all over India as per the laws. So that is not, it is not being prevented by the state which is not having a law for cultivation or production. We are free to sell in India. We are coming to the exempt policies. I think every country like US etc. have, but they have to be one thing, that is THC in the product should not go above 0.3%. So that is the main hindrance or main aspect that is seen in the policies. Policies like what is there for FDAs and all, that will hold good for every component or every formulation that is there. But extra is THC should not be more than 0.3%.
The last question for today is, for leaf-based polyherbal formulation preparations or prescription, does one has to take permission from excise department, or just Ayush department license is good enough? That is one question. And in NDPS Act, leaf and seed medicinal use is allowed and not in purview of legal restrictions. So what exactly to follow?
Actually, we once you get the Ayush license for the product, then it is allowed. But you have to have a prescription. The individual, that is a patient who is taking this medicine, has to have a prescription for the reference. If someone is if some legal authority also going to question, then the prescription is a shield that will help him. Because anything about 300 grams is considered as illegal without prescription. 300 milligrams, sorry. So this is something that is very thing. For a production unit, the narcotic license and excise license have to be taken for production, and Ayush, that is for procurement of raw materials and storing of raw materials. For production of the formulation, the Ayush is the only authority in India that is giving us the license for production. Saying that it is coming under Schedule E, 1 of Drug and Cosmetic Act, and which doesn't mention anything. It only names bhang. That's it. There is no specification as what from bhang is to be scheduled under this. So that is why prescription for any part of bhang, that is including leaves, is mandatory. Coming to the NDPS Act doesn't, or in fact it completely doesn't ban any part of bhang except the flower buds, that too female flower buds. So you are not, in fact, hemp seeds, what we call as hemp hearts, is coming under FSSAI license, not even a Ayush license. So it is freely available and it's a food license. So there is no problem by using of any manner, and it is not coming under any legal purview for that matter. But NDPS very strictly, it considers flower bud as illegal and not leaves. Actually, leaves are not considered under that as illegal. But because of Drug and Cosmetic Act, we cannot give, even though we are using leaves without prescription, cannot be dispensed.
Thank you all. See you in the next session of GURUBODHA. Namaste.